House Democrats are accusing President Trump of abuse of power and obstruction of Congress. But isn't that exactly what Nancy Pelosi is doing by refusing to send impeachment articles to the United States Senate? Democrats from the start have been saying this had to be done immediately.
The Trump administration is posed to do horrible danger to our country, our values, our people, and our reputation.
The Trump presidency poses a clear and present danger to our country and to the world.
This Ukraine allegation is head and shoulders one of the most serious and urgent allegations that we have seen.
So the timing is really driven by the urgency.
Joining me now is Tom Fitton, the president of Judicial Watch, along with John Eastman, Claremont Institute Senior Fellow and Constitutional Scholar. John, I want to start with you because you're actually the one that pointed out the wording in the resolution passed in the House. This is House Resolution number 755, and it says that Donald John Trump, President of the United States, is impeached for high crimes and misdemeanors, and get this part, folks, and that the following articles of impeachment be exhibited to the United States Senate. Now, John, doesn't that mean exactly what it says? The Democrats wrote these articles. They are solely the ones that passed them, and now they're not actually abiding by them, correct?
Well, that's right. And Nancy Pelosi seems to think that because if she were to have another vote that says don't send them over to the Senate, she would probably get a majority on that as well, that we don't actually have to have that vote. We can just deem it as having been accomplished, like they tried to pull back with the Obamacare legislation nearly a decade ago. No, the House of Representatives operates by majority vote as a body. No individual member of the House of Representatives has any power different than other members, even the Speaker. And when they pass a resolution that says it shall be exhibited to the Senate, that's the law. There's no further action necessary. Now, we're in uncharted territories, but quite frankly, if I were Senator McConnell, I would say it's exhibited to the Senate. I've read it in the congressional record. We're going to take it up next week.
I don't know if they can actually do that, but I do find it interesting, Tom, that here they have a chance, and Tom's joining me on set here in Washington. They write these articles, they pass them themselves. What's your take on it?
Well, they don't want to lose in the Senate. They're trying to put off the loss. Even a trial that's abbreviated or a trial that has witnesses, they're still going to lose, and they don't want that to happen. And they're obviously seeing a new opportunity. Well, maybe they can play the game through the election and have perpetual impeachment of the president. And the problem is the Constitution. And the president has civil rights.
That always gets in the way, right?
There's the rule of law.
Pesky thing called the Constitution.
You know, and I've always called this a coup. And you see elements of it with the impeachment, obviously, was based on nothing. So abusing their rule of the powers they have under the Constitution to impeach the president by impeaching him for nothing. And now they're trying to overthrow the Senate. And they want to do if they don't get their Kavanaugh-type hearings against the president, they're trying to blow up the legislative branch as well. And if I were Mitch McConnell, I'd say we're going to run a trial here. Now, Pelosi and the rest can participate or not, but we're going to run the trial. And frankly, to the degree there's going to be a trial, it should be of Adam Schiff and his prosecutorial misconduct. There should be no full-blown trial. Why would you reward the coup cabal with an abusive trial of the president?
Yeah, John, how does the president get due process? I mean, they have been throwing allegations at him since day one. Nancy Pelosi admitted, she finally said, look, we've been working on impeachment for more than 2.5 years. That says a lot. Now they're off in a recess. How does the president actually get due process in this case?
Well, this is one of the very reasons that the Office of Legal Counsel has for decades under both administrations said the president can't be indicted while he's in office. Because they couldn't bring a trial against him, and an indictment hanging over his head while he's in office that he cannot vindicate himself against would cripple the presidency, the office itself. Well, what Nancy Pelosi is doing here is exactly the same thing. And the parallel with the first article of impeachment, that they are using the powers of their office to try and investigate the head of the opposing political party, who happens to be down at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. What they are doing with the impeachment itself, much less for the holding now the articles of impeachment and not sending them to the Senate, is an utmost abuse of office. It really is a travesty, and it just shows you how how much blind hatred they have for this president, that they're willing to throw off every norm in our institutions in order to try and find some dirt on this president to get him out of office.
Yeah. Now, Tom, what's interesting to me, going back again to that pesky, constitutional question, I think I saw Donald Trump Jr. post this up. What Nancy Pelosi is really wanting is a quid pro quo. I'll send this over if you do this, which is kind of ironic in the whole thing. But the Constitution says that the Senate has the sole power, just as the House had sole power to move forward articles of impeachment, the Senate has the sole power. That's a problem for Nancy Pelosi, isn't it?
It is, and that's why she's trying to leverage the timing of delivery of the impeachment articles. There's nothing in the Constitution about the House delivering articles of impeachment. They impeach them, and then the Senate takes up the trial. And if I were Mitch McConnell, I would just acknowledge the reality and take the president out of this constitutional limbo. Remember, the president is being victimized here. He needs to do his job. He's tweeted that it makes it more difficult for him to talk with foreign leaders. And we don't want the Congress in a tyrannical fashion blowing up the Constitution just for political purposes. And I've half-jokingly say this, but, Mitch McConnell famously and correctly, in my view, put off the confirmation of Merrick Garland during an election year. And I think the Senate should think about putting off any impeachment trial of the president or summarily dismissing it because we're not doing it in an election year.
No, that would be an interesting take on it. Now, John, real quickly, we've only got a few seconds left, but there is some talk that the Democrats would actually delay this until after the election and then want to bring up these same articles again in between that time of the election in November and when a new president or the re-election of Donald Trump happens. Can they do that?
So the right to have counsel present at your hearings, the right to confront witnesses against you, and now we'll throw in the double jeopardy clause in our Sherman-esque blow through the constitutional norms of criminal procedure. Look, it's not just this president who is being victimized here. It's the office of the president itself that is being undermined, and it's to great detriment on our ability to conduct government both home and abroad.
Well, look. But the Democrats have demonstrated in full force that they're really not interested in getting much done. Tom, I'll give you the last 20 seconds here. What do you think is going to happen when they actually reconvene here the first week of January?
Well, when you see a hardcore leftist senator like Blumenthal say, I think we're going to get this quickly, Pelosi may have overreached here. And I think there's going to be some type of trial where there's going to be an adjudication that will ultimately vindicate the president.
Look, the only Nancy Pelosi I know, she poll tests everything and does focus groups on everything, and I think that's probably what's going on right now. I'm just guessing through experience. John Eastman and Tom Fitton, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.